Welcome to another quick hit review. It is the 26th of June 2019. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 currency pairs to discuss. First of all, though, there is a little bit of news out today. We've got some pound news out at 10.15, some dollar news out at 1.30. Nothing major, nothing that I'm really going to pay that much attention to unless I'm in lower time frame trades. There is again, though, more New Zealand news out in the night at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not expecting as much as a reaction this time, but please bear that in mind. If you are in something like a pound New Zealand trade, you will see more of a reaction compared to, say, the Kiwi, something like the New Zealand dollar. Apart from that, let's go and check out the Aussie dollar, what I'm keeping an eye on. We have a channel and I'm waiting for the breakout or the double top, which we may be getting right now. This actually could be quite a nice trade. So one thing to bear in mind, we are still within these wicks, but if we look at what the trend has done, we had a move lower. We saw a pullback and then we saw a move lower. So if I put a structure level on at the last outside return, which is just here, we have had a confirmed break below, close below. However, when we see when we only just violate the outside return, we typically see bigger retracements. I spoke about this the other day, that we could see a move up to around this level, something like that, before we can look at the market potentially turning. In fact, if I put a structure level on just here, we do have a 7,000 psychological number that we might want to pay attention to. So we've got quite a big zone here where we think we could see a reaction. But what I really like is this channel that we have. And if you've done the channel education, you'll know how to draw these out on the closes of the candles. Just like that. We're going to duplicate it and we're going to move it up. And to validate it, have I got this right? No, I've not. It's moved. Okay. Oh, right, okay, I'm just redrawing this out and it doesn't look as though we've had our fifth test. Just let me show you what I mean. This is one test, 2, 3. These channels are not valid until we have had our fourth test. And based on this, we haven't as yet had our fourth test, right? I thought we had. So I am now not interested in getting involved in the market until we come up to retest the top of this channel. And from the look of it, that's going to be up here. So that means we've got some time to wait. However, it does mean that our price reversal zone, or our kill zone, is being reduced to pretty much the wicks just here. So within that zone, we can look for a couple of things. We can look for rotation patterns, so a double top or a head and shoulders, or we can actually wait for the breakout of the channel, then a chance to get short. Now, with this being a channel, we could look for a complete retest of the lows. We'll have to wait and see how price sets up and what it gives us, but that's what I've got on the radar. Let's just drop down to the 60. Yeah, nothing here. It's on the 240 this, so well, if we're looking at price going higher now, if this is a channel, then what do we have? No, nothing. Okay, so I'm waiting for that on the 240. I'm going to take a look at the euro yen. We've got a bat setting up. It's quite a ways away, to be honest. It might not even happen today. But what do we have? We had the market that came lower. We saw a pullback. Saw the market come lower. We actually failed to retest the lows, so we could actually be entering some form of channel here. This isn't going to be a flag pattern to me. For me, the pole isn't good enough, but we could certainly enter a channel. Might even be a wedge, something like this, with this being the pole. Let's go and take a look at the 240. Okay, on the 240 we would need to redraw this out, something like this. I do believe price can go higher. I don't think this is the pole this is the turning point here. So this is one really to watch, and if we can get some kind of rotation pattern, maybe up in this area, then we can maybe look for a short. Remember, within channels we talk about rotation patterns. This could be a head and shoulders, then a double top. You could look for a move all the way to the downside. If we're going to take a look at the 60 though, we have a potential back pattern here. It's a little ways away, but we have X to A to B, B to C, CD completion around this area. So a couple of things to watch out there for on the Euro Yen. Okay, Euro New Zealand next. We have a potential low and tight flag setting up. So here on the Euro New Zealand, what we had here is we had a move higher, a pullback, a move higher. We have now retested, so would not be looking for trend continuation. We've actually violated the lows here, so no trend continuation on the dailies. If we go to the 240, this was a head and shoulders, still is a head and shoulders, and what we had is we had a move higher, a pullback, a move higher, a pullback. This here violated the outside return, so making this an initial structure low, giving us a potential rotation. Then we had a move higher. What concerned me on this trade was that here on the right shoulder we actually violated the left shoulder, and just to point something out here, if I put a structure level on at the highs, it didn't come into structure. So this is a head and shoulders which is now confirmed, but wasn't one because we didn't come into structure. But what we've done now is we've now violated to the downside. There is an advanced pattern here. However, I do not trade patterns on the Euro New Zealand. They are not profitable for me. But if they are for you, you have X to A to B, B to C, CD completion down here at the 886. And we have a very nice big bearish candle here, which hasn't yet closed, but if it does, we are going to violate the B point, an indication that we could be coming lower. Here on the 60, well, we've got some fairly nice movement on the 60. We had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, you have a little pullback here. Pullback, move lower, pullback, move lower, pullback, move lower. What we're doing now is sideways movement, and there is room to the downside here. Okay, so what we can do is we can look for a breakout pattern. So let's go to the 15. Now it's a bit ugly because of this wick. Okay, but this would be the pole. And if I put a structure level on the closes of the candles, we can only get it on one of the closes of the candles. But you can see we have had the retest, which is what we need. If we duplicate this and move it up, this is not a double bottom because it did not appear at structure. And so we've had one test, two test, three test. I would be waiting for a fourth test up in this zone. And I can only take these patterns when we've just violated structure or we're in trend, because they are, even though they're a breakout pattern, they appear within trend basically. So we're trending here. So this could be a nice opportunity. It has not appeared at a psychological number. So if we come up to this area here, I'll be looking for a short, and I'll be looking for that 127 extension. Now this is a very large pole, which means that we do have quite big extended targets, so we should end up with a very nice reward to risk here. If we can get our entry up here, we could be looking at around 76 pips of risk. You could even wait for a conservative entry by dropping to the 5 and maybe looking for a double top, something like that. I'm going to set an alert on this, and as we go up, and if we get an entry reason, I'll be sending out a notification on this trade. Next one, Pound Aussie. We have a potential daily double bottom. So this is going to be way too big for me, but nevertheless we have come into a major level of structure, or we are coming into a major level of structure, and we have a double bottom. This is going to be way too big for me. However, there is absolutely no reason why we cannot look for lower time frame rotation patterns within the wicks here. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to, guys. Double bottoms, head and shoulders, could even enter consolidation. There's nothing here on the 240. Let's go to the 60. Nothing here on the 60. Pay attention to how directional this movement is. I am going to be dropping down to the 5 range, and I am going to be looking for trend continuation on the 5 range until we hit those daily candle closes, which would be my projected target. So if we're just going to take a look at the 5 range, unfortunately there's no pullbacks right now, but I am going to be monitoring that for those pullbacks. Going to take a look at the pound yen. We have a couple of advanced patterns setting up. First of all, structure level on at this major level of structure. We have had the move lower, a pullback, and we have now made a move lower. So we don't have any confirmation what the market is going to do because we're at this structure level. However, my bias is we're going to see a big breakout. The reason for that is because look at the rally we've seen here for the last few weeks. We've seen a very minor pullback, and with these minor pullbacks we tend to see long extensions, and if we just read what the candlesticks have done, then right here we have an inverted hammer followed by a lower low, lower close candle. So my instinct, while it may not always be right, is going to be that we are going to see a breakout to the downside. So I'm going to be on alert for that. Let's go and take a look at the 240, and on the 240 we do have a big garlic pattern, and we have X to A, A to B. It's a shallow one, B to C, CD completion around this area. If we go and take a look at the 60, we have on the 60 a double bottom. We're just pulling back now for 26.18. However, this is not something I'm interested in. It didn't occur at any real level of structure that I would be interested in, so not valid for me. Let's go and take a look at the 15. And the other pattern we've got on the 15 is from this X leg up here. So we have a back pattern, so X to A to B, B to C, and a CD completion up there. Apart from that, I've got nothing else on the pound yen. Pound dollar that we spoke about yesterday in the webinar, that double top was a double top, and we'll talk through this in a moment. First of all, bigger picture. I've been saying for weeks, look out for X to A to B, B to C for a bat, and X to A, B to C, B to C, and a CD completion just here for a butterfly pattern. And what we've now done is we're putting in what could be a head and shoulders. So it is a pattern, so head and shoulders, we're typically looking for an X leg, which is a swing in the market. So we had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower. We saw a pullback all the way back up to this level, which we will talk about in a moment. We have now put in a lovely lower low, lower close candle. What we have not done yet though is actually hit the target for those bigger patterns, which is going to be the 382. So what I'm looking at is the market reversing here, and we're going to be looking for an entry to get long as the market comes lower. But in the meantime, we're going to be looking for shorting opportunities. So I'm looking at the market doing this and then doing that. So let's drop down to the 240. And we had a potential head and shoulders on the 240. Again, we spoke about this in the live room. We had the market that went higher, a pullback that went higher, and I said this was a valid double top when the market was here. go across one more, just like that. This was a valid double top, but I wanted to wait for confirmation because we had those two big advanced patterns. We weren't too sure if the market was just going to rally up or not. Well, the good news now is we've waited for the violation. We can now wait for a 2618. You have to wait for this on the 240. So let me just go ahead here and highlight the wicks. So here was your double top. You had the RSI confirmation, which was here. We were, because this is a pound pair, you can be overbought from 70. You barely had any divergence though. So I was a little bit more cautious with this, but you can now look for that 2618. Is the 2618 going to come off? Who knows? But we are setting up a head and shoulders as well, and typically we do tend to see when we have this formation that we get the pullback, because the pullback is the right shoulder, and then look at trading this down. So we're going to be waiting for that today. Let's go and take a look at the lower time frame though. I don't think there was anything on it. No. So let's just hope we can get the pullback on the pound dollar. Last couple of pairs now. New Zealand yen. Bullish on the 15. Okay, let's go and take a look. So we have a direct move, a pullback, a move lower. If we put a structure level on just here, we have only just violated this level. So like the other currency pair we were talking about, not too sure which one it was, but we're typically looking then for a deeper retracement because we only saw a small violation. We're typically looking for a deeper retracement. Let's go to the 240. And we did have a head and shoulders here. It wasn't one I could get involved with, but we had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, and now we're seeing a pullback, and we've just put in a big higher high, higher close. There is a high probability here that we are going to carry on up to at least this level, and I'm going to put a structure level on there, which is the 7200 psychological number. So we've got the head and shoulders, which is going bullishly. We've had a big higher high, higher close, and we can simply keep dropping down the time frames until we see a trend. What we do have is this big rally, and we have the market wedging or coiling. The problem here is this is valid, guys, okay, because this test here did not test the closes of the candles. This test here did not test the closes of the candles. My concern is that the size of the pole is far bigger than the pattern, and it's disproportionate. Okay, so that concerns me. I like these to be, this pattern, this breakout pattern needed to be bigger in relation to the pole. So this is not a trade I'm going to be taking, okay, even though everything is pointing in the right direction. I want to be conservative because this is out of the normal zone for these types of patterns, but I am still looking bullish, so pay attention. If it's valid for you, well, you have a breakout pattern right there. Dollar yen is the last one. I've wrote looking for a rotation on here, so let's go and take a look. Okay, structure level on at this major level of structure. We have violated it to the downside, and we've been trending really nicely here on the dollar yen. What we've done here though is sideways movement. Okay, we're in trend, we put a new low in, but we're now seeing sideways movement. So let's go to the 240, and the problem here is that we're actually in trend again. So we had a new low, a pullback, and another new low. Now this is the entire outside return. We can look for either a move to this level, which would be this point, or a complete retest of the lows. One thing I would personally pay attention to is the wicks, because we're now in the last chance entry, and I would be looking for a rotation pattern, okay? A double top, head and shoulders, and it's quite a big zone we've got here where we could see that, so we want to be a little bit cautious. Right now we have no RSI confirmation, so there's no double top here for me. Let's go and take a look at the 15. Here on the 15 we have just had a double top. I was actually looking at this, but there was a problem with it. What was it? It was the RSI. We never went overbought on the RSI. But you just had a double top here, and if you believe this is the turning point, well, you can simply look for a 2618 and look at riding this thing lower. I'm going to be waiting for a little bit more confirmation. That's only on the 15-minute. I'm going to be waiting for the 60-minute to give me a double top up here or a head and shoulders. That's all the things I have on the radar, guys. As usual, if you have any trade setups, please don't keep them to yourself. Post them in the trade chat so other traders can take a look at them. There may be opportunities there that meet their rules, that also meet my rules, that we want to get involved with. So please go ahead and share your trade ideas.